are tuning in to another message, declaration, proclamation, audio, video recording. You are tuning in to HOTT. Love it, hate it, despise it, embrace it. Just make sure you do it while free speech is still available. Make sure you do it while you can still speak your mind, while you can still speak out against the established, controlled media and the corrupt establishment, while you can still speak against the king. Do it. Do it without consequence while you can. Because the day is rapidly approaching when you will not be able to anymore without being jailed, without being in prison, without being fined, without being sued. You are listening to another message, another episode, broadcast of HOTT. And the title of this broadcast is While Free Speech is Available. It's been kind of the title. It's been the message. It's been the introduction for quite some time now. Before I really started being led to make these broadcasts, to share awareness in the political spectrum, in the political view, as I feel is my duty it is my duty as an American, it is my duty as a Christian, a born again man of God who sees and declares what he seeth, as the scripture said in Isaiah chapter 21 in verse 6, For thus hath the Lord said unto me, Go set a watchman, let him declare what he seeth. That's part of the job of the watchman, is to declare exactly what he sees. And long before I came to the Lord, I had a hole-in-the-wall experience in which He showed me the abominations of the nation. And as I've gone on in my walk with the Lord, it's become more and more apparent that this is part of the ministry that He hath given me, other than just going into the street and preaching the Word, preaching the gospel, and testifying against the wicked world, against their evil. For quite some time, the Lord had ministered to me about declaring these things. As I stated in the 9/11 video, that these topics, these truths, these conspiracies, not theories, are very touchy. They're very touchy amongst the people who claim to be the people of God. I didn't just start this on a whim. I didn't just start to do this on a whim. I'd been prayed about it. And prayed about it, and prayed about it, and prayed about it. But it has become part of what I do. As a minister of Christ. Prophets in the Old Testament were sent to the people to declare unto them the spiritual state of their nation. And part in knowing the spiritual state of the nation is being aware of the events that take place within the nation. We live in a country that has been unlike any other before it. And that we have the Bill of Rights, we have the Constitution as our blueprint. Much like we have the Bible as our blueprint. So unlike any other time in the history of the world, we the people, we have the power. And that power is most potent through the First Amendment and the Second. The First Amendment and the Second. So quite naturally, as I've been making these broadcasts, doing things while free speech is available has become the theme. Without me even really realizing it. And what I mean by that is the significance of it. Saying what we want while free speech is available. And now all this that has happened with Charlie Kirk, this man who is being brought forth to the American people as a hero. It just, as I stated before, when this first happened, it reminded me of John F. Kennedy when he was assassinated. Same deal. But it also reminds me of Albert Pike, an idolized high-level Freemason who stated quote, when the people need a hero, we shall supply him, end quote. The hero has been supplied. But what comes along with that is consequence. And while they talk about Charlie Kirk being this high-level advocate for free speech, that's just part of their plan. It reminds me of the Patriot Act, which it was called the Patriot Act, yet it was unpatriotic in nature. It was not patriotic. It was not constitutional. It was a trampling over of the Constitution, if you would read it in full for yourself. As something I've been encouraging you to do from the very beginning is look to these things for yourself, much like you would search the Scriptures. Much like you would search the Scriptures, that you would seek these things out. And we live in a time and age where it's very easy to do that. Men before us who dove into the conspiracies of the world had to spend a lot more time and effort searching these things out. A lot more time and effort than you or I have to today. As we live in a time where information is right at our fingertips. Where it's easier than it's ever been. Where it's all out in the open. Because part of their protocol is to let you know exactly what they're going to do before they do it. And get you to agree with them. To allow them to do what they're going to do before they do it. As we've talked about in prior broadcasts, the revelation of the method. We've talked about Adolf Hitler. His importance. Why he's been such an instrumental figure in following the playbook of the powers that be. He's an instrumental figure to those people. Because the playbook that the United States of America is following is right out of his playbook, right out of the German playbook. Quote, terrorism is the best political weapon, for nothing drives the people harder than a fear of sudden death, end quote. And that's all we see constantly. Quote, the party told you to reject the evidence of your ears and eyes. It was their final, most essential command, and if all others accepted the lie which the party imposed, if all records told the same tale, then the lie passed into history and became truth, end quote. Straight out of George Orwell's 1984. This man is not a hero, Charlie Kirk. And he should not be a Christian hero. Because his allegiance is to Rome. As I stated before, he took an oath of secrecy. And so do all these men who are propped up and on stage. And if it requires them using him as a pawn in the game to further their agenda, then they'll do it. That's the price they pay to play the game. He's not a Christian martyr. He's a martyr for Rome, to further the agenda, to do what they've been trying to do, to accomplish their mission, to accomplish their work. And yet the Christians continue to fall for the lies of the mainstream. The Christians continue to believe their chief commander, Donald Trump, who prior to this event had an assassination attempt on his life, so-called, in which he fooled the American public like the great liar and great magician that he is. Donald Trump is another member of the secret societies. He went to Jesuit Fordham. And he went to Penn University, whose founder was Benjamin Franklin, another deist and member of the secret societies. These things will be all found to be coincidental amongst the conspiracy theorists who believe that their government has their best interests, doesn't lie to them, and the pharmaceutical companies, the pharmaceutical industry is there to help them. It will just be mere coincidence to them. To those who actually believe in conspiracy theories. I deal with conspiracy, not theory. The conspiracy theorist of today in America is the actual person that believes and trusts their government. You're a conspiracy theorist. Point the finger back at yourself, hypocrite. Because everything they do, every step they take, in their two-party system is to get the outcome they actually want anyways. As we've stated over and over again, but we need to keep stating it over and over again for those who listen, so that you might understand, as Jesus said, let this sink down into your ears. It needs to sink down into your ears till you get it. And just as they used the Patriot Act and called it the Patriot Act as unpatriotic, the Charlie Kirk Act will be no different. It will be anti-free speech and anti-American. Anti-free speech, anti-American, anti-Constitution. The whole point of it is to get news to stop criticizing and media from criticizing the establishment. That's the whole plan summed up of the Charlie Kirk Act. That's the whole idea behind it. Is to stop media from being produced that criticizes the president or criticizes the narrative. And the consequences of it can be fines or imprisonment. Them suing you, fining you, or imprisoning you. Stripping you of your social media right. It puts pressure on media outlets like Facebook and YouTube and other TikTok, some of these places, Twitter, puts pressure on them to monitor anyone who will speak out against them. All the while they tell you that this is for your good. It's so that people can't just make blanket statements and can't basically say whatever they want to say. And it protects their narrative from being in question. That's ultimately what this is all about. Donald Trump had written something called Agenda 47 that covers a wide variety of topics. And it has been described as authoritarian or fascist. It touched on several things: education, expansion of presidential powers. There's a lot in this agenda. What I want to read from, though, is journalism, information, and censorship. Shattering the left-wing censorship regime, labeling information as misinformation or disinformation in the media or social networks about subjects like the 2020 elections, COVID, the Biden family's criminality. This will be achieved by banning every federal agency from performing that action, firing federal officials who have done it, depriving them of their vote, investigating and prosecuting all parties involved, curtailing federal economic support to diversities that have done it. During this term, Trump made false or misleading statements, which often were spread via social media, resulting in social media banning him after the events of January 6, 2021. Contemporary academic publications discussed freedom of speech and fake news phenomenon, disinformation, and Trump's relationship with them. On August 25, 2018, PGA Media published a story reporting that 96% of Google search results of Donald Trump were left-leaning. On March 21, 2019, Trump signed an executive order aimed at improving transparency and promoting free speech on college campuses. Every year, the federal government provides educational institutions more than $35 billion in research funding. All of that money is now at stake. There's a lot of money. They're going to have to not like your views a lot, right? Trump said, if a college or university does not allow you to speak, we will not give them money. The order received praise from Charlie Kirk, Sarah Ruger, the director of Toleration and Free Expression Division of Charles Koch Institute, the foundation of individual rights in education, liberty, university, and the criticism of Janet Napolitano, then president of the University of California, the American Council on Education, and the American Civil Liberties Union, among others. It was also reported that the Trump administration sought to censor scientific research related to climate change. They downplayed the COVID-19 pandemic. On May 15, 2019, the White House announced the launch of tech bias reporting tool for people to report instances perceived social media bias that was met with criticism after Trump stated on Twitter that mail-in voting would lead to massive fraud in 2020 presidential election. Moderators marked the message with a potentially misleading warning, liking the post to fact-checking websites. On May 28th, 2020, Trump signed the executive order on preventing online censorship, an executive order directing regulatory action at Section 230. After considerable controversy, the order was later rescinded by President Biden. In July 2021, after being deplatformed by social media companies, Trump sued them, arguing they had violated the First Amendment rights to speak freely. These events elicited discussion about censorship in social media. February 2022, Trump launched Truth Social, and in May, his lawsuit was dismissed. So anything considered left-wing, anti-right, anything that criticizes the narrative will be considered left-wing. A lot of people who know about this broadcast probably consider it to be left-wing when I'm not part of either wing. I'm a constitutionalist. I am not a Republican. I stand for the Republic. Republicans are compromisers. Republicans believe that they're in a democracy. That's compromised. A democracy is one step closer to communism. The founders were considered liberal. They were considered liberal according to the people that they were resisting. And it's no different today. If you're going to stand upon the Constitution and be true to it, you're going to be considered liberal as well to the conservative compromised right. Which has become more pro-establishment than anything. And we're so compromised and so blinded by all this we can't even see it as a people. And it's a shame. He wants to revise Section 230 and cause online users or services, wants to cause online services to take down governmental critical content. So you see more and more that they are tightening the noose on free speech. Tightening the noose on what you can and can't say. It's like I said before. How is it that people out there, before Trump came, they knew there was fake news. They knew there was propaganda. A lot of people. But then when they give you a guy who actually will say, "Oh, that's fake news. That's fake news. That's fake news. That's fake news." You'll just let down your guard and believe the guy crying that. It's brilliant how they implemented that. Surely he's speaking the truth, right? But then he's going to tell you who's fake and who's real all at the same time. And they fooled a lot of people with that. And they're continuing to be fooled today. When they'll say CNN is fake and ABC's fake, so on and so forth, but Fox News, they're the real deal. They give you real news. They're for the people. They're all working together. They're all working together. They're all owned by the same company. They're all owned by the same handler. Now look it up, Agenda 47. Section 230. Look that up. Read those things for yourself. Investigate it for you. Investigate the Charlie Kirk Act for yourself. I'd like to read an article. This is from Axios. Media's MAGA Makeover is the title. Trump-friendly billionaires are consolidating control over American media, steering legacy brands and social platforms in a new conservative direction. Why it matters. The media landscape of 2016 is unrecognizable. Once dominated by the critics of President Trump, today's fragmented ecosystem is increasingly controlled or threatened by forces aligned with the White House. Driving the news. ABC pulled Jimmy Kimmel off air indefinitely on Wednesday in response to the late-night host's comment about Charlie Kirk's assassination. The extraordinary move came after the Federal Communications Commission Chair, Brendan Carr, warned ABC that it could face fines or license revocations if it did not operate in the public interest. Trump celebrated Kimmel's removal, just as he did CBS's decision to cancel Stephen Colbert, and called for NBC to take action against remaining late-night hosts Seth Meyers and Jimmy Fallon. The big picture. The media MAGA makeover is unfolding on two fronts. High-profile acquisitions that give Trump allies control of marquee platforms, and quieter rebrands that soften once critical coverage or policies. It's just like I said, with Agenda 47 and Section 230. And him wanting to change the libel laws, which I'll give you a quote from that real quickly. Quote, this is from Donald Trump on January 2018. Quote, we are going to take a strong look at our country's libel laws so that when somebody says something that is false and defamatory about someone, that person will have meaningful recourse in our courts. anything. People can cry about everything now. People will be taking people over to court about everything now with these changes. You won't be able to see anything soon. And that's the whole idea. Let's get back to the article here. Number one, acquisitions. No modern media deal has more profoundly reshaped U.S. politics than Elon Musk's 2022 takeover of Twitter, now X, which turns the digital town square into a platform dominated by MAGA voices. It soon may be eclipsed by another seismic deal, Oracle chaired by Trump ally Lord Larry Ellison is seeking to take control of TikTok's U.S. operation and part of a consortium that includes Silver Lake and Andreessen Horowitz. The proposal, if greenlit by China, could give one of Trump's billionaire allies unprecedented sway over a platform central to youth culture and political organizing. Meanwhile, Skydance acquisition of Paramount this summer handled Ellison's son David control of CBS News, where he appointed a conservative ombudsman to review complaints about the network's coverage. Paramount Skydance is in advanced talks to acquire Barry Weiss' conservative news site, the Free Press, and give her a senior editor role at CBS. The Ellisons are also working on a cash bid to acquire Warner Bros., which owns CNN, potentially putting two of America's most iconic TV news brands under the purview of one Trump-aligned family. So, I mean, they're just coming out and telling you all this now, but I'm telling you, all these things are already controlled. You know, they do these things for years, and if you go back to the Project Mockingbird, which is the last HOTT episode, you go back and watch that, I talk about Project Mockingbird, and so they ran Project Mockingbird for years, and then had the Rockefeller Commission come and investigate them, quote unquote, and they came to the conclusion, hey, they're violating people's rights, and it just goes back under the shadow of secrecy. It's just they have to tell you what they're doing. And so now all these brands, Paramount, Warner Brothers, being so-called bought up by all these high-level billionaires to pretty much take over the media. The media's already been taken over. It's already been taken over. It's been taken over for a long time. So they just surface these things and just bring it out to you and show you, hey, all your media's controlled, and now it's going to be filtered through this one way. If you speak against the king, you're out. If you speak against the king, you're going to jail. If you speak against the king, off with your head. That's all this is just cleverly packaged to let you know exactly what your ramifications are going to be for speaking up. But nonetheless, two, rebrands. Major tech and media executives made a series of overtures to Trump in wake of 2024 election, promising a more conciliatory approach toward his second administration. Meta's Mark Zuckerberg. We've heard that name before. We've heard Zuckerberg. We've heard Elon Musk. We've heard about Gates. All these Silicon Valley OTO members. They're the modern day Nikola Teslas. They're the modern day alchemists, the modern day inventors, the high level witchcraft priests of the OTO. We've talked about that in prior episodes. Went in depth on all of the OTO and what it's really about and why Elon Musk is this public figure. Why he would be hyper-financed by Rome. He's a high-level priest. He's like a modern day Aleister Crowley, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg. They're high level in the arts. And you can laugh this off, you can think whatever you want to think about it. This is reality, this is truth. The OTO was founded by Aleister Crowley. Aleister Crowley, before he started the OTO, was a member of the Golden Dawn. The OTO of America is a very powerful organization, high-level witchcraft. Secret society. All these secret societies are filtered through Rome. And Donald Trump, Jesuit Donald Duck, is also a high-level member of the Jesuit order. But Mark Zuckerberg, ladies and gentlemen, some of the most wealthy people come out of Silicon Valley, and it has to do with the OTO. It has to do with their actual talents. These men are the inventors. These men are the high-level alchemists. They're the Jack Parsons of our time. They're the Nikola Teslas of our time. They're the Aleister Crowleys of our time. The L. Ron Hubbards of our time. Right in plain sight. They're all part of the mysteries. Mark Zuckerberg pivoted hard after years of tensions, appointing Trump allies to top jobs, eliminating platforms, fact-checking program as a part of slate of change targeting censorship. Washington Post owner Jeff Bezos killed the paper's endorsement of then Vice President Harris and announced in February that its opinion page would shift its mission and promote personal liberties and free markets. LA Times owner Patrick Soon-Shiong spiked the paper's Harris endorsement and vowed on Fox News to balance out his editorial board with conservative voices. The intrigue, Univision, the largest Spanish language broadcaster in the U.S. and one-time left-leaning voice of the Latinos, has integrated itself with the Trump administration under its new owner, Mexican media giant Televisa. The Baltimore Sun, Maryland's largest newspaper, has shifted notably to the right since being sold to David Smith, the executive chairman and conservative local broadcaster Sinclair. Public MAGA media companies like Newsmax have seen valuations skyrocket by riding the meme stock wave initiated by Trump Media, which owns the president's True Social platform. Between the lines, mainstream outlets that remain adversarial to Trump have come under heavy financial, political, regulatory pressure. What is he doing? He's trying to take out those who speak in contrary to him. Did not the Nazis do the same thing when the German Workers' Party, the National Socialist German Workers' Party, take over Germany? Did they not do the same things? Did they not take out their opponents? Did they not take out those who had different political views to control the narrative? When will you people wake up? Ladies and gentlemen, this is a huge article, and I encourage you to read it. I will leave it in the description box of this video. It was made on September 18th, 2025. It's titled Media's MAGA Makeover. These are all truths. All these networks, all these brands are coming under the head of one. And if you speak in opposition of the narrative, they're coming for your wallet and they're coming for your mouth. It will affect you. The Patriot Act affected people. The crazy thing about the Patriot Act is they were already doing these things. Spying on the people, wiretapping conversations, listening in on people's conversations. They were already doing those things. They just openly come out and tell you now, hey, we're going to do this. And it's all part of this act right here. They're doing these things long before they just come out and openly declare, hey, this is what it is. This is an attack on the First Amendment. I don't care what side you stand on. If you can't see this, you can't see the forest through the trees. If you can't see this, you cannot see the broadside of a barn. You're absolutely blind. You're absolutely blind if you can't see this. You can read this article and read some of these things that are taking place. You literally cannot see the forest through the trees. You can't see nothing. I'm declaring to you what I see. So let's continue reading here. Trump filed a $15 billion defamation lawsuit against the New York Times this week, claiming the paper is full-throated mouthpiece of the Democrat Party. He also accused ABC and NBC of functioning as arms as a Democratic Party and said last month he would be in favor of the FCC pulling their broadcast licenses. And you're telling me there's not an attack on free speech? Let's continue reading. The Corporation for Public Broadcasting was forced to shut down after Congress cut nearly $1.1 billion in federal funding for PBS and NPR, which Trump had accused of liberal bias. Reality check. Even amid the tectonic shifts, America's newsrooms are still producing hard-hitting independent journalism. Trump is actively suing his ally Rupert Murdoch over the Wall Street Journal coverage of his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. A reminder that friendly ownership doesn't guarantee friendly coverage. And that's the end of the article. And what about the Epstein files? The man who was crying to you about the Epstein files back while Joe Biden held the reins in office is now telling you to shut up about it. Of course, it's all by design. Of course, they're not going to give you the Epstein file. They're not going to tell you the truth, people. Because if they told you the truth, you'd be in an uproar today. And I'll tell you the truth. They're all a bunch of pedos. They're all a bunch of weirdos, sick freaks. They all practice the dark arts. They're all part of the mystery religion. The mystery religion of Babylon that comes under the blanket of Rome. And the religion of Zionism. The United States military is Rome's military. The finance of Rome is England. And the founders of the religion of Zionism and the reestablishment of Israel is the Rothschild banking dynasty. These people are wicked. These people are sick. And you out there listening, not all of you, but the majority people, maybe not even most who listen to this broadcast, because I honestly don't know, but the majority of American people support these people. They cheer for these people. They love these people. These sick, filthy, degenerate bastards. These sick, filthy, degenerate bastards. You applaud them. You cheer for them. You support them. And you hate the people who speak out against them and say, I don't want anything to do with either side. I stand for the Constitution of the United States of America, and I reserve my right to speak out against them while free speech is still available. And that's where this is going, ladies and gentlemen. Right at the heart of while free speech is still available. Though we refuse to see it. We're dumb dogs. We're blind in America. Isaiah 28. These are all relevant, these scriptures. Very relevant. Isaiah 28 in verse 14. Wherefore hear the word of the Lord, ye scornful men that rule this people which is in Jerusalem. Because you have said, we have made a covenant with death and with hell. Are we at agreement when the overflowing scourge shall pass? Through it shall not come unto us, for we have made lies our refuge, and under falsehood have we hid ourselves. These people have made a covenant with death and hell. These people hide behind lies. And falsehood. Great liars are also great magicians. Isaiah 29 in verse 15. Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord, and their works are in the dark. And they say, who seeth us? Who knoweth us? Surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. For shall the work say of the him that made it, he made me not? Or the thing framed say of him that framed it, he had no understanding of it? Turning things upside down, seeking deep to hide their counsel from the Lord. It's a shame to even speak of those things which are done of them in secret. But the Lord knoweth. The Lord knoweth that they worship the Son, that they worship and practice the mystery religion of Babylon. The Lord knoweth that their palaces, their courts, are full of charmers and wizards, those that consult with familiar spirit and witches. Those that sacrifice their sons and daughters to the fire, those that worship the host of heaven. All these wicked practices condemned by the New and Old Testament. They which practice these things shall not inherit the kingdom of God. Witchcraft, sorcery, condemned in the New Testament by the Holy One, Jesus Christ, who sits on the throne. Isaiah 57. Draw near hither, ye sons of sorcerers, the seed of adulterer and the whore. Against whom do you sport yourself? Against whom make ye a wide mouth, and draw out the tongue? Are ye not the children of transgression and a seed of falsehood? They speak to us through their signs and symbols. They mock us in plain sight. They mock you on live television. They try to tell you what's best for you. They try to program you and herd you right into the way they want you to think, want you to be, want you to act, want you to say. They want to control and regulate your speech. They want to control and regulate everything about you. But it's all conspiracy to you. That can't happen. It's happening right before your eyes. You're already in the paradigm. You have not come out of it. You're trying to sustain. You're trying to sustain Egypt in our country. Spiritual Egypt and Sodom is what you're trying to sustain. Tried to sustain in this nation. Spiritual Egypt. Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help and stay on horses and trust in chariots because they are many, and in horsemen because they are very strong, but they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord. Yet he also is wise and will bring evil and will not call back his words, but will arise against the house of evildoers and against the help of them that work iniquity. Now the Egyptians are men and not God, and their horses flesh and not spirit. When the Lord shall stretch out his hand, both he that helpeth shall fall, and he that holdeth shall fall down, and they all shall fail together. Oh, you don't want to fight against God, trying to sustain your Egypt, trusting in chariots and horses and men. Trusting in Rome, being an ecumenist. Let's all unify together against evil when you're evil yourself. You're not to accept the persons of the wicked. You should not follow a multitude to do evil. To overthrow the righteous in judgment, to justify the wicked. Because with lies, you've made the heart of the righteous sad, whom I have not made sad. And you've strengthened the hand of the wicked, that none doth return from their wickedness by promising them life. That's the heart. That verse is the heart of the compromiser. Jeremiah called those prophets and those men and said they were the same as God likened them to Sodom and Gomorrah. The compromisers. You're willing to compromise. And they gave you their hero. They supplied you a hero to accomplish their will. Micah chapter number 5. Micah 5 in verse 10. And it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord, that I will cut off thy horses out of the midst of thee. I will destroy thy chariots. I will cut off their cities of their land, and throw down all their strongholds. I will cut off the witchcraft and out of thine hand, and thou shalt have no more soothsayers. Thy graven images also will I cut off, and thy standing images out of the midst of thee. And thou shalt no more worship the work of thine own hands. And I will pluck up thy groves out of the midst of thee, so will I destroy thy cities. I will execute vengeance and anger and fury upon the heathen, such as they have not heard. Malachi. Chapter number 3, verse 5. I will come near to you in judgment. I will come near to judgment. I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers, and against the adulterers and false swearers, and against those that oppress the hireling in his wages, the widow, the fatherless, and that turn aside the stranger from the right. And fear not me, saith the Lord of hosts. For I am the Lord, I change not. Therefore ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. Even from the days of your fathers ye are gone away from my ordinances, and have not kept them. Return unto me, and I will return unto you, saith the Lord of hosts. But ye said, wherein shall we return? Will a man rob God? Yet have ye robbed me. But ye say, wherein have we robbed thee? In tithes and offerings? Ye are cursed with a curse, for you have robbed me, even this whole nation. The state is the church, and the church is powerless. Because it is compromised. It's time. Get your house in order. It's time to stand upon the rock. It's time to lift up your voice with strength and lift it up and fear not. Say, behold your God. The dividing line is becoming more and more clear in this nation. And as the days go on, as more and more implementation that hinders man's speech in this nation becomes more and more taxing, the more and more that line will be clear. The more and more obvious it will be to who is on the Lord's side. Ye shall be hated by men for my name's sake. And he that endureth to the end, the same shall be saved. I wish you well.